Welcome to this part of the forex trading class. Today I'm going to teach you how to do top-down analysis in order to take the right trade, and I'm going to be taking it step by step. Top-down analysis is one of the most important strategy as far as the forex market is concerned, and if you master this particular skill, it's going to help you to get the right trade and as much get much more money. So let's get into the forex trading view, and I'm going to analyze how to do it the right way and then show you directly in the live chart on how to do that. This is a forex trading view. This trading view where we are using to analyze. So you can use MT4, you can use MT5, or you can download this trading view from Play Store, or you can access it on the website as I'm accessing it here, and then you follow me to do it. Top-down analysis means analyzing your chart in each of the different time frames. Remember, I taught you that we have the monthly time frame, the yearly time frame, we even have the weekly time frame and all of that. So you have to understand how the market is behaving in each of those time frames in order for you to take your trade. All right, so let's come here. Of course, you can see where we are here. We have the 15 minutes, the 30 minutes and all of that. They are here because I put them on favorite. So we click on here. Your own, you may find only one. So if you come here, you can see that we have the 1 second, the 5 seconds, the 10 seconds and all of that. Here we have the 1 minute, the 2 minutes, the 3 minutes, and then the 5 minutes, the 15 minutes and all of that. Of course, we have the 2 hours, the 3 hours, 4 hours and all of that. Now, the most important ones that we are going to be focusing on is starting from the monthly time frame. Either you we start from the monthly time frame, or we start from the weekly time frame. So you have to be analyzing how the market behaves when it is on 1 month time frame, how it behaves when it's on 1 week, the same thing how it behaves when it's on 2 hours and all of that. So the most important ones for us here, for me in particular, is the weekly time frame, which I studied, and then of course the daily time frame, which I studied, and of course most importantly the 4 hours time frame I studied, and then again the 30 minutes time frame I studied, and then the 15 minutes time frame of course I studied. So because I start them as my favorite, that's why you can actually see them appear here. So anyone you actually start, they appear here. Now, this analysis work for every currency pair, whether it's Euro, USD, GBP, USD, gold, or any of them, AUD card, all of them, it works for them. But for now, for this particular lecture, we're going to be using Euro, USD. All right, just follow me step by step and it will work absolutely for you. Now, before I go in, let me explain this. So I divide the time frame that are more important to me into three. All right, so I divide it into two rather. So I divide it into the weekly time frame. I divide the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour into one, and then I divide the 2 hours, the 1 hour, the 30 minutes, the 15 minutes into one. Now, when you are searching for these charts, knowing how they behave on the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour, you are going to be searching for, you're going to be checking for the trend. All right, so what will you be looking at for? That's what I'm actually giving this. You're going to actually be looking for the trend. So let me bring this down, pick this pencil here, and then I'm going to write, pick this, I'm going to write here, and I'm going to write that this is what you are going to be looking for. So you are going to be looking for what is the direction of that market, what is the direction of the trend. Remember, I've taught you all of this when I was taking technical analysis. You can find the video in my channel or check the video description to get the video. So when you are searching on the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour, you are checking actually where is the time frame, where is the trend. Is the trend the same when it's on weekly? Is it the same when it's on daily? Is it the same when it's on 4 hours? All right, so and then when we get to the 2 hours, the 1 hour, the 30 minutes and the 15 minutes, that's when you're going to be checking where to actually take the trade. So we're going to be doing that now, and say now let's go there. Remember again that I said you're going to be looking for the trend here. So let's start from this first part here, and then we'll go here. So let me highlight, let me zoom in so they can be able to see. Let me zoom in so they can be able to see. And then for you to actually take this particular trade, or you to actually dictate the trend on here, let's return it back. Here is on monthly, so I want to actually start from weekly. So you can start from weekly. Now you can put your own on monthly, it doesn't matter. All right, so let me increase again and then check it here. All right, so under here I can now take my, all right, take my measurement of the trend, seeing how the trend is. Now looking at it already, you already know how the trend is, whether it's going upward or it's going downward. So you can tell me that on the comment section. But for now, let me pick this my arrow here, and then I'm going to draw it from here. I'm going to draw it here, and then of course I'm showing you where the market is going. These are the higher highs and the higher lows, and they will come here, we come here, we come here, we come. You can do it anyhow you want, right? And they will come here, and then we come here, and then of course you come, that will come here. Now I stop it, and then I'm going to pick this trade here down here. Of course, looking at this already, you know that the market was coming from. All right, so you see, looking at this on the weekly time frame, you discover that the market was coming like this, which was bearish. Then it start going up, and then it range at some point here. It draws down a little, and now the direction of this trade now is uptrend, which is bullish. All right, so from here you can actually see that the trend here is actually bullish, which is going up. The trend is going up. All right, so let's drop this, and then let's go to the time frame. Let me take this to this side so they will not be able to confuse us. All right, so let me take it here, and then I can actually return here. So this is where we actually take it, right? So now let's go to the daily time frame. That is seeing how the same market is behaving when it's in a daily market. All right, so on the daily market, you can see that, let's pick our arrow again here, and then you can see that from here it ranges from here to here, from here to here, the higher highs and the higher lows, from here to here, and then we see that the market comes here again, and then it's going here. All right, so let me increase it, and then of course it's going. Sorry, I think I'll have to retake that because I didn't drop it there. All right, so let's come back here. All right, click here, click here, click here. All right, so we are just picturing the higher lows and the higher highs where the market actually hits, that makes it comes down and then go up. So we have here, and then we have here, and then we have here, and then we have here. Now on the daily time frame, you are seeing that, sorry, on the daily time frame, you are seeing that the market is actually uptrend. Okay, overall the market is uptrend, but at this some point here, the market is showing that it's coming down. All right, so now let's go back again. Let's go back again. Now let's go back again so that I will not have to. I have to go back, and then I show you how that looks properly. Now remember that here is actually uptrend, right? But at this point here is showing that is actually is about to sell, but the overall trend is uptrend. Remember, on the weekly and daily we are looking at this. Now here the overall trend for daily is selling, that is selling. The same thing here, the same thing here, but the overall trend is what? Buying. The overall trend is going up, but at this some point here, the breakout here is showing that it's coming down. All right, so let's go back to the market again. Let's go back to the market again and see. All right, so this is where we actually start the listing from. So let me come back here. All right, so this is where we start from. Now we are done with the daily time frame, and now let's look at the 4 hours time frame. Remember, I said from the 4 hours time frame, you are actually detecting where to now take the entry. Now we have searched from the weekly, we have searched from the daily, and then we are now want to search from the 4 hours. 4 hours is still on the trend, the trend of the market. All right, so we have discovered from the daily and the weekly that the market is going up. Now let's still discover that on the daily. Now there are probabilities that when you search the market on the market structure, that the trend can be different when it's on one week, and if you put it on the daily, it can also change to another thing. So that's why you need to analyze to see. All right, but of what we are currently checking is the overall. So now you click here again. Let's take the market from here, and then it comes here, it comes here, we come here, higher highs and higher lows, and then we come here, the market comes back here, and then comes here. Of course, you can see that the market is coming here, and then here the market is starting to come down. All right, so you can now see that the overall trend for 4 hours is actually, the overall trend for 4 hours is actually selling. So look at it. The overall trend here is selling. But remember that the overall trend for the other ones that we just did, which is these ones, I think the thing is disturbing me. I can't go there. But for now, let's just look at it. For the 4 hour, the day and the weekly shows that the market was bullish. But on the 4 hours, the market is now coming down. That's how you need to check. You need to check all of these things in order to take a trade. All right. So now let's come back. Of course, the market was going up. It was going up already, but it starts coming down. Right, you can see how it's behaving. That's why you need to identify whether you are a day trader or a long-term trader. So you should be able to know the differences. For me, I'm a day trader, so you can see that that's why we are doing this top-down analysis. Of course, top-down analysis is starting to analyze from top to bottom. All right, so that's it. Please, if you kindly like this video, kindly help me subscribe to the channel, like this video, and tell me what you have to say about your own when you do this practice in the comment section. All right, so this is it. Of course, the market is currently selling, so let me delete all of this so that it will make everything look better. So I want to delete this, and then of course we are there. Now the market is like this and is currently selling. Now we are done with the trend. Now our overall trend now for 4 hours is selling, but the previous one, which was the day and the weekly, were bullish, but for now it's selling. So for this again, we have to come back again to 2 hours, and from 2 hours, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, we are actually looking for where to take our entry. This is where we are actually taking the entry. For now, if I'm to consider this market at this point, it's selling. Right? I don't care whatever happens in the daily, what happens in the weekly. What happens now is that the market is selling. Right? So I'm now looking at it at the 2 hours and 30 minutes and 15 minutes in order to take the trade. So let's go to 2 hours again. And then under the 2 hours, you can see that the market is still the overall trend here. Just me looking at it is selling. But for now, let's do the practice from here. It was selling from here. It was selling from here. It was selling from here. It was still selling from here. It was still selling from here. It was still selling from here. And now is a little bit going up. But the overall trend that we have here is that the market is selling. But for this particular point here, where we have this point here, the market is actually buying with a very strong candlestick. But let's still do the analysis. All right, so don't be moved by all these candlesticks. All right, I know that I taught you a lot about candlesticks. We can find it on this channel as well, but the overall trend here is selling. And remember, when I was teaching technical analysis, I do say that do not trade against your trend. Do not place a trade against your trend. I will say more about that as we continue. So now let's come back here again, and then here we have to put it on 30 minutes. Now, when you are going to 30 minutes and 15 minutes, this is where the real emphasis lies. This is where you have to focus the most. All right, so before we even put there, let me remove this thing that we marked here. Let me remove it and then I drop it here. It's selling, showing that overall here is selling. So let me put it back on 30 minutes. And then remember again, I say you have to put your emphasis here. Now let's pick our arrow again and then mark the higher highs and higher lows from here to here, from here, the higher highs and higher, directly from here. The market sells here, came down here, sells here, came down here, and then it sells here. It comes down to this place, and then comes down to this place, and then of course we have it here, and they have it here. Here directly it sells, and then at this point is now moving up, and then of course it's making a retraction, and it's showing that it may actually sell. All right, so now if we remove this structure here, the market structure I just marked here, the trend structure, you will see that this market at some point ranges. All right, this market at some point ranges. Now from here, you don't actually know if this trend is actually selling or is actually buying, but overall is selling, because you can see that from here is actually, let me pick a point again, from here is actually taking a turn from here. It takes a turn from here and it's coming here. It's only at this point that it decides to go up a little. All right, so from here the overall is selling. You have to wait and confirm other things. So for now, let me keep this file again, and then I'll have to delete this so that I can be able to continue. Now, as a day trader, you take your trade on 15 minutes. I advise you take a trade on 15 minutes, or if you can wait for some minutes, you can place your trade on actually 10 30 minutes. I don't actually advise you putting your trade on 5 minutes, although 5 minutes is good because the candlestick could be forming. Now, okay, also remember that the minute you put your trade on, your chart on, is the minute it takes to create one candle. So if you put your trade on 15 minutes, it takes 15 minutes to create just one candle, and then after 15 minutes it creates another candle, after 15 minutes it creates another candle, and then of course remember that the candles are the one forming the directions. So I advise that you put your trade on 15 minutes. All right, so from these 30 minutes we can now come to the 15 minutes time frame, and then under the 15 minutes time frame you can see that this market is actually buying. Now let me return it back to 30 minutes. Let me return it back. Now from this 30 minutes time frame, you can actually see that of course the market came from here as buy, as sell, came from here, buy a little, came down a little, and it retests from here and it retests from here. Now you can see that this market is already breaking a lot of resistance and a lot of support. Now if we were supposed to draw support line here, remember that this part here is supposed to be a support line. All right, this point here is supposed to be a support. This point here, sorry, that is resistance or support, any one of them. This point here is also resistance. Let's pick another one. This point here is also pick here. So if you know what support and resistance means, you know that it is a point where at least market hits 2 or 3 times and reverses. So you can see that market hits here, I come back here and return, come back here as if it was touching at the zone, it returns back here, break out to here, and from here to back it comes back here before moving down, and then from here again it returns back here, return here, and then moves up. So the market is actually breaking, it breaks this resistance here, and then it's trying to move up. And then of course from here in the market, let's come back. You can see that this market here is showing as though the market is moving up. Now what I want you to do is that before you take a trade, before you know whether this thing is selling or this thing is buying, you need to draw your support and resistance so that you know exactly when the market breaks out from your support line. So let's draw that support and resistance. So we'll click this, and then let's click this. This is a support line because market hits here a lot of times. So what is support and resistance? Support and resistance is there are places where market tends to hit and reverse, hit and reverse. So market, the wicks touch here, the wicks touches here, the wicks touches here. It shows that this place there is something here inhibiting the market. All right, so let's draw another one by drawing up here. Of course, you can see that there are a lot of wicks here showing that there are a lot of rejections. All right, so you can see here, and then we can see this market here. Now let's draw another one bottom. All right, remember I taught all of these things. If you want to find the video, you can actually find the video on my channel, all right, to follow up. So I'm actually teaching top-down analysis, not support and resistance, but I just want to do something here. Now if we were supposed to look at this market, we will look at this market to be an uptrend, all right, because from here it comes here, prolong here, go back here, and then lands here, and is trying to go back here. Now what will the market reach here and cross, or will the market still come down? Because for this particular market I can actually detect if this market is actually trying to still go up, but of course it's already indicating that the market will go up, but then there is no accuracy here that the market will go up. So what you do is, because you have joined your support and resistance, you have to wait for your trade to hit here. If your market hits here and you discover that maybe there are a lot of candles, red candles that start to return here, then it means that this market is going to continue on sale. All right, this market is going to continue on sale. But if the market hits at this particular point here and did not reverse but crosses up, it shows you that this market has completely turned from the downside, that is the selling side, to up. So this particular point here is the last point where we are testing it. All right, and of course maybe sometimes at some point, maybe when it gets to this level here, which is this level particularly here, it may actually hit here, but our watch is on this level because this level is what shows the downside. So once the market hits here and did not return and start moving up, then you now know that the market has turned its trend from the downtrend upside, and you can now place a buy. If not, I'm predicting this market that once it gets to this particular point here, it should reverse, because this is my resistance point where market hits many times before moving down. So you can see that resistance and support are good, also good in top-down analysis. You can't do without them. So you always try to mark your support and resistance so that you can use them together. But overall, in top-down analysis, you are in top-down analysis from the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hours, you are detecting the trend of the market. And then of course from the 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 15 minutes, you are actually knowing where to actually take the trade. Like I always say again, please wait for confirmation. So the market will hit here and come back, or the market will break out. Now you can see that the market has started moving up to this particular point. So if the market break out from this point, like it's breaking out like this, and it's breaking out with strong candles, indicating that the market is in the bullish trend. But always watch your trend lines to see if it will. But like I always tell you, my prediction for this particular market, the market is going to hit here and come back down, or it's going to hit here and then return back, or it's going to cross. Now at this particular point in time, once it break out from here, this point here, I will know that the market will come back again. It is going to be completely selling, is bullish rather. So I'll not keep a buy here. But if you reverse here with a candle, let's say a bearish Marabozo or a bearish Ngovi, which is going to be very strong, or even multiple candles which are going to be very strong, I will not take my trade here. So in top-down analysis, I want you to know something, that top-down analysis, I always want you to combine it with your support and resistance, and I also want you to combine it with your patience. Now, patience is a skill when it has to do with trading forex. I've said this many times that patience is a skill. So always wait for a market to show you a direction. So overall, if this trend was overall is showing that is selling. So all I have to do is, remember again, I said don't trade against your trend, right? Don't trade against your trend. So you have to wait for a candle that will now start showing in your direction of sell. I know that currently the market is buying, but if it continues to break out the support line, that's when, if you break out the last support, you can now keep a buy. If not, I'm predicting that the market will hit most of the support line and start going back to the normal trend, which is selling. And then when it now shows indication that it's showing to going back to the normal trend, which is selling, you place a sell. And at that point that you place a sell, following the trend, the direction of the trend, you're going to catch a lot of pips. All right, so that's that for that. And then you can see how the market is looking. I like how the market is looking, and like I also said that I'm making this video. I make this video like 4 hours ago, and then now it's about yes, 4 hours ago before I make it. You can see that it now takes some pips from here. It now break out from here, and of course we are having this point here. Now I was saying something. Now, if for example you are an intraday trader, right? So you intraday trader, somebody who plays his candlestick on 2 minutes, 1 minute, all of that. Depending on how you put your chart on the minute. The minute you put your chart on depends on the minute it takes one trade, one candlestick to form. So if I put my candlestick on my chart on 15 minutes, it means that it will take each of these candlestick 15 minutes to form. Then another one will form 15 minutes, another one 15 minutes. So for some people who usually put it and they want fast money, all right, so they just put it on 2 minutes or 15 minutes. What they do is that, if for example I'm waiting for this trade at this moment here to hit here so that it starts reversing, what they do is that they can still buy from here to here and take profit, so that when it starts reversing they still sell and still get their take profit. So their own is just buying and selling at zones. All right, just buying and selling at zones. You may not catch a lot of pips, but at least you are gaining something. So you keep placing and gaining, placing and gaining, and not just placing in the direction of the trend like I do. Me, I do by trend, and but sometimes we do this for a living, right? So we just place trades by zones, and then we can also catch a lot of pips from the market. So that's that for top down analysis. Let me do a quick recap. Top-down analysis is analyzing your trades from the highest time frame to the lowest time frame in order to detect which of the trades to take, which of the trades to place so they can actually maximize profit. So you start checking your trade from
the 1 month time frame, the weekly time frame, the daily time frame, and the 4 hours time frame. And in this particular four I just mentioned, monthly, weekly, daily, and 4 hours, you are checking for the direction of that trend, the trend of the market. Right, so if it's bullish, you know that it's bullish. If it's bearish, you know that it's bearish. And then you also check for the trend in the for the top down analysis. The second part is you check the chart on the 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 15 minutes. And on the 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 15 minutes, you are checking for possible entries where you can actually take your trade. Now remember that the direction of the trend from the 4 hours, the day, weekly, and monthly may be different from the direction of the trend in the in the in the 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and all of that. But again, I said that the overall trend, you can actually see the overall trend even without seeing it. You can see the overall trend. So always know the overall trend from the 4 hours, daily, monthly, weekly. And then when you come to the 30 minutes, 15 minutes, still try to spot the overall trend and then wait for the chart to go your direction before you can actually. So you can see that this thing is going up, it's currently going up. So if it hits here and start coming down, I will sell. But if it shows that I can't sell at this moment, yeah, this thing has completely changed direction, like we are seeing in the 2 hours. It means that marketers, the buyers are strong. So let's say the direction of the trend is going to change. So you can also start placing that trade. Right, so this how to do it. But so it may not go the way I just explained because I'm using Euro USD. So you can just check it, and today is the 15th of October 2025. So you may be watching this video in a different time and all of that. So you may not have exactly all of this. So you can also check it in different time. You can do this analysis in a different yeah, pair. So let me go to a different pair like AUD card. AUD card. I just check for AUD card. Medical and then here we are. So for here again, we are still going to be analyzing. Just do your top down analysis by going back to the 4 hours, and then you can see how it's looking here. I've actually analyzed it previously, recently even, so you can see how it's looking. So it's carrying the higher lows, the higher lows, higher lows. Overall the trend shows that it's going up. Right, it's currently going up, but here it's showing that there's going to be a bearish because the sellers were strong from here to here, and then they were retesting. So my actual prediction for this market was that once it gets here, it will sell. That's why you saw that I put this here, this particular thing. My actual prediction was that once it gets here, it will start selling. So I'm going to wait for it, and you're going to see it's going to get somewhere here. Because why? Because the sellers were too strong here. The sellers were too strong here. And then when the buyers took the market up, they retested. They came down again, and when they tried, the sellers were too strong here again. So and the buyers are trying to push the market back up. So I'm trying to predict that if the buyers still push the market up, the sellers are still going to push them down. So that's why I place this thing here. So you can see you can do this for every other thing, right? So like again, I said conclusively, I must be closing this video now. That please, what I want you to do is don't do top down analysis just like that. Add it with your support and resistance, add it with patience, add it with the overall market structure. All right, so if you like this video and you know that I'm giving you value, please kindly help me subscribe to the channel, like this video, and if there's any other video you want me to make on forex trading, please tell me in the comment section and I will do just exactly that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time from the beginning to this point. I would love if you kindly help me subscribe. I will see you in the next video.